They didn't even call his name when the strong gathered and the impressive stood tall. When the spotlight searched for someone worthy, he was not there. Not because he was incapable and not because he lacked potential, but because he was overlooked. He was left outside in the fields where no one important was watching, and that is exactly where it began. While others were being measured by appearance, he was being measured by pressure. While others were being evaluated in public, he was being trained in private. The field became his classroom, silence became his mentor, and isolation became his weapon. Nobody applauds you in the wilderness. Nobody congratulates you when you wake before sunrise or when you fight battles that leave no witnesses. Nobody reposts the nights you wrestle fear alone. Yet those are the moments that build something dangerous inside a person. Out there in the quiet, he learned how to survive without comfort. He learned how to listen to the wind, how to sense movement before it appeared, and how to stay calm when something circled in the dark. There were predators, real ones with teeth, claws, and hunger. When they attacked, there was no backup, no army, and no crowd shouting encouragement. It was just him and the decision to either run or stand. He stood, not because he felt brave, but because he understood something most people never learn. Survival hardens you faster than applause ever could. Every private victory changed him. Every hidden fight reshaped his psychology. Every moment alone stripped away insecurity and replaced it with instinct. The wilderness does not flatter you, it exposes you. It shows you your fear, your weakness, and your limits, and then it forces you to confront them. That is where confidence is forged, not in comfort, but in confrontation. Years passed in obscurity where no one knew his name, and it seemed like nothing was happening. But in reality, everything was happening. Skill was sharpening, focus was deepening, patience was strengthening, and something else was forming: control. Control over fear, control over emotion, and control over reaction. While others depended on noise to feel powerful, he learned to operate in silence. Silence does something extraordinary to the mind. When you stop announcing your intentions, you stop seeking validation. When you stop performing for approval, you begin refining your ability. When nobody is watching, you are forced to be real, and that reality builds resilience. Then one day, the noise arrived. A giant stood in front of everyone, loud, arrogant, and dominating the atmosphere with fear. The trained warriors trembled, the experienced fighters hesitated, and the impressive men who once stood confidently now avoided eye contact. Noise intimidates the unprepared. The giant wasn't just large, he was psychological warfare. His voice shattered courage and his presence paralyzed action. Yet something was different about the one they ignored. He did not see a giant, he saw a target. He did not hear intimidation, he heard opportunity. When you have fought predators in the dark, size does not scare you. When you have survived isolation, pressure does not shake you. When you have mastered fear privately, public confrontation feels familiar. This was not his first battle, it was simply his first audience. Suddenly, everyone had opinions and advice explaining why he could not win, but they had not seen the wilderness. They had not seen the hidden training or the nights he stood alone against death. Public doubt is powerless against private preparation. The giant mocked him, laughed at him, and measured him by appearance just as everyone else had done before. But this time, underestimation was a mistake. The field had prepared him, silence had shaped him, and the battles nobody recorded had already determined the outcome. When he stepped forward, it looked sudden, but it was not. When he acted, it looked fearless, but it was not. It was calculated. Every movement had been refined by repetition, and every decision was backed by experience. Every ounce of confidence had been built through unseen struggle. Then in a single moment, what they dismissed became undeniable. The giant fell, not because of luck or chance, but because preparation met opportunity. Suddenly, the one they ignored became the one they could not ignore. When your giant steps into your path, you will not hesitate, and you will not look around for approval or wait for permission. You will step forward with the calm of someone who has already survived worse and understands that noise is not power and size is not authority. Giants are loud because they rely on intimidation and the weakness of those who never trained in silence. Preparation, however, is quiet. Preparation observes, calculates, and waits. Then when the moment finally arrives, preparation strikes. People will call it confidence, courage, or sudden success. Let them. You will not correct them or remind them of the nights they never saw or the battles they never knew existed. You will simply execute. And when it is over, the one they ignored will become the one they can never ignore again.